Let's talk about cheaters. Yay!
Yay! Speaking of AI,
as much as you guys would probably be aware out there that Modern Warfare 3 came to Game Pass recently.
Mm-hmm.
And Charlie Intel, which is basically a Call of Duty Twitter that it's not their official, but they do a lot of news and stuff about different Call of Duties. They've done it for years now. Mm-hmm. But they had put out a report based on data that they had been seeing that ever since Modern Warfare 3 hit Game Pass, there had been an exponential rise in the amount of cheaters that came into Modern Warfare 3. And now the one thing that the article says is that, a lot of the way that they kind of pointed it out and in part of their analytics is that a lot of the new cheaters that were being found out had an Xbox logo next to their name. Cause I guess you could see different versions of the way you do it. I don't know exactly what that means because part of, this was Modern Warfare 3 went free for, Game Pass on PC as well. Usually a lot of the cheating happens or it's easier to do, I guess I should say on PC. It absolutely does happen on console and can happen on console. So I'm not saying that it wasn't from that as well, but it was just kind of crazy to me how they're like, okay, there's been this huge influx of cheating ever since it got released to tens of millions of more players because of Game Pass, wherever the game goes. I was just like, well, and it makes you wonder what Activision is going to do about it. Now, at the point of this time that this article came out, they're like, they've reached out to Activision. There's been no comment on it. But at the same time, like, even though this isn't that old of a game, like it's the out game. Like it's not the one like Black Ops 6, the next one coming out is going to be the big thing. So I would be willing to bet there's not really going to be much of anything done to it because they're just going to focus in on Black Ops 6. And since that's the new hotness coming in pretty soon. So it'll be interesting to see if they address it in any kind of way. But I just thought that was a very interesting thing. They're like, oh yeah, here come the cheaters. Once everybody gets access to the game for, quote unquote free, cheat away. With no consequences, maybe, we'll just have to see.
It's interesting does that mean that there was no like anti-cheat? Why would it not work on these new? I wonder why it doesn't work on these new players. Like, was there not as strict of an anti-cheat system set up back then as there is now? And
so they did have an anti-cheat system built inside of it. They used I don't know if it's platform's the right way of saying it, but it was called a Ricochet anti-cheat system, and that's what was implemented with Modern Warfare 3 when it launched. Of course, Modern Warfare 3. In video game terms, launched ages ago kind of thing. Right. So it may just be that, kind of like anything else, like hackers and whatnot. It's like, it's constantly changing, constantly like, here's the new thing, here's the new thing. So it may just been that they implemented this one. It was perfectly fine for the first 6 months, or whatever. But now it's like, there's so many other things that can circumvent our things but we're not going to invest in worrying about it. And I don't know that that's the case. That's just my conjecture, but it may be something similar to that. And where it's just more people that have access to it for free. And they're like, hey, I'm getting it for free, or part of my subscription. I didn't pay for it. So it's a little bit, some people like, I definitely don't want to cheat in a thing that I paid for. Cause if I get banned in a thing that I paid for, well, why do I want to do that? But kind of a lot of people look at it as though they didn't pay for Call of Duty Modern Warfare 3. So we're going to try and get away with whatever we can get away with. I don't know.
This weekend when I was playing Marvel Rivals, they do have a competitive scenario. And I played a few games of that, and I think I had like 4 games in a row where someone would leave and there's no backfill in competitive. So then you end up 5v6. And it was kind of the same thing. Well, it's a beta. It's free. None of the progression carries over. They have no incentive to stick around and not leave.
Well, but in the, I don't know about in competitive because I don't play competitive, but in the normal match, I left a match because I was playing and then Stacy asked me to go help her with the thing. And I just didn't think about it. I was like, okay, well, I'll just leave out this match. And it told me, cause it goes back to the splash screen before I exit the game. And it told me you're locked out of the game for the next 2.5 minutes cause you left the game early.
Really?
So yeah.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And I did a little bit of looking online later cause I was like, oh, that's interesting. Cause usually a lot of times betas won't have leaving penalties or anything like that. And this one did. And I looked and it said even in the beta that leaving penalties exist. And not only that, they'll get exponentially worse if you do it more frequently. So like the first one will be 2 minutes, the next one might be 5, next one might be 2 days or, whatever. So
that is annoying. I mean, I get it. Like,
yeah. So it seems like they at least implemented that in normal play. I don't know why they wouldn't have that, or maybe just a few people left competitive and they just didn't care. It's like, 2 minutes, no big deal. I'm not sure.
Right.
But
Yeah.
that'd be interesting
Well,
if it wasn't in
Overwatch
competitive,
should
but it was in
pick up
normal.
yeah. Maybe Overwatch should pick
Seriously.
up something from them rather
Yeah,
than
right?
if you after 20
Does
games.
Overwatch not
if you
have a
leave-
leave penalty?
It's like if you leave 4 out of 20 games or something like that. It's pretty, yeah.
Yeah.
So you gotta
It's
be
pretty
pretty
loose.
consistent with it to actually have it kick in.
Got it.